joining you on the week that we learned that you're going to have to up your party trick game. Seriously, I'm not making it up. You might be thinking they're going, no. My party trick is top billing. When I'm at a party, it's the best thing that's going to be happening. Well, there's a chap who was on a unicycle, so he's already showing off, juggling fire sticks in the middle of a crossing on a road, had to get stopped by the police and told not to do it anymore. So, knowing that that's a thing, and it managed to make the news, unfortunately, drinking milk through your nose, it is just not going to cut it anymore. I'm sorry, you're going to have to find something a bit better and a bit flashier than that. And on that sort of topic, advising you to not do things, because I strongly don't recommend at all that you go running around on a unicycle, setting things on fire and juggling. We're going to see what you don't advise after this one from Oasis. Some might say, on a wee natter. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday evening. 30 years later, and they're still doing amazing things for bucket hat sales. It's Oasis, and some might say, on a wee natter, where I've just seen a message come in asking if there's no Jenny tonight. I can say, unfortunately, she's not here with us tonight. She learned about the gentleman that was running around on a unicycle, juggling some sticks that he set on fire in the middle of a road, and went, you know what? I need to find a better party trick. So she is off doing that, and I'm sure she'll perform it next week when she comes back. And I totally not set her up there. Yeah, never going to do that. And staying on the upbeat note, I just had a tip come in from Anel76. Thank you very much for that. And we don't ask for your tips, but if you do want to support the show and help keep our cat very well fed in treats, then the option is available to you. You can do it through Mixcloud at any time you like. It's not something we like to say, it's not something we ask for, but when you do it, thank you very much. And last week, let's step all the way back in time, about 7 days. And can you remember that I was asking you, what would you advise people not to do? It's a bit of a weird question, but we asked that. What would you advise people not to do? And Jackie got in touch saying, don't go out of the house in sunshine without sunscreen. Isn't there a Laz Berman song about that? Wear sunscreen. I think there is. It's very good advice. We used to call it suntan lotion. Can you remember people slavering themselves in amber solar oil, literally cooking the skin? I guess nowadays you do it in, virgin olive oil or something like that. Oh my goodness, some things have changed for the better. Cheryl saying, I have a bacon and egg roll every morning. I hope you're not like 20 stone or something like that. You do balance it out with the rest of your diet. But a bacon or egg roll every morning. But unfortunately, I bit into the egg just now and it's all gone up my face. Oh, proper runny egg. That's the best. And into my hair. Yeah, that's not so good. It gave my workmates a good laugh, so I'll say just don't have a runny egg. And I'm going to disagree there. If you've got a choice between a hard egg and runny egg, take the runny egg every time. And another one, anonymous. I'm going to have to say anonymous because I didn't write the name down. I would definitely recommend people don't have a fight with a tin can like I did because they can be vicious. Yes. If you have a go with a tin can, you get into a fight with a tin can, you are going to lose. There's going to be blood everywhere. It's going to look like a scene out of a horror movie. So, just accept that you're not going to have the dinner if it goes sideways. And on a slightly different topic, if you were following social media, so you can follow us on a wee natter, or maybe look for my face, Marc Steele, out there on the internet, posted a little video where I talked about custom ringtones that I bumped into. Because in a waiting room, somebody had it playing, and I think it was The Darkness, I believe, a thing called off or something like that. And a few of you have been in touch about custom ringtones, including Sonia saying, Mark was just talking about custom ringtones. Yeah, I was. Yes, I have them. The TV series Bewitched theme tune. That's the one where she shuggles the nose back and forth, isn't it? Yeah, I can't do that, so I'm not going to do that. Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, the Gladiator theme, Stone Roses, and more. You're one of those people. It takes it a whole step further, aren't you, Sonia? Where you give everybody in your life a different ringtone, which is a brilliant idea until they find out what ringtone you gave them and they get offended by it. Not saying it's happened to me, but I've seen it happen to other people. Cheryl saying my daughter has a Game of Thrones ringtone as her ringtone. And Vicky saying, it's funny, I remember that changing ringtones used to be a thing. I kept my phone on silent permanently these days. I find it intrusive, it makes a sound. I say a useful piece of advice for people not to do is brush their muddy shoes and then rinse them in a muddy brush in the sink. I've just blocked my sink doing that. Yeah, and that's such a big deal. if you're the sort of person that, washes your boots in the sink, it's such a big problem. They have to put signs up everywhere that you go when you're out hiking or anything like that, and there's a public toilet. They'll put a sign up saying, don't wash your boots in the sink. 9 times out of 10, somebody has done that. There is water everywhere, and it's brown water as well. And you're not sure whether it's mud or something else. But honestly, you look for facilities elsewhere at that point, don't you? Don't you? God is a DJ. Probably not a good plan, because I've seen the sort of music he's into. And it's not brilliant. It's not going to get you up and dancing. Pink on a wee natter, where we're learning about the advice you'd give people not to do. And BG Very One Cack saying, don't go outside to put rubbish in the bin on a very windy day unless you have your door keys or have wedged the door open. And that's not the only risk, right? If you pop your bin out on the road and it's on the lighter end of things and it tips over, that's how your neighbours find out that you've got a fizzy pop addiction, as it's full of metal cans and you wish it had been alcohol instead because it'd be slightly less embarrassing. Not that I'm saying you want a drinking problem, but given the choice of drinking problems, some are cooler than others. Alfie Cat 555 saying, don't do what I did the other day. Knock a tub of paint over, not realise it leaked, then put a foot in it and come out of the shed and walk over the patio. Yes, extra points if you don't realise that until the paint has dried in and it's extra fun to scrape off. Not that I'm saying I've ever done anything like that before, but there you go. And talking about white stuff, Sandra Owens be in touch saying, both British female snow jumpers have fallen in the first qualifying round at the Olympics. And have you heard? It's all kicked off at the Olympics with something called crotchgate. It's as rude as you think it is. Apparently, ski jumpers are injecting a certain serum into their gentleman's region to increase its size. And it's nothing about showing off to the ladies or anything like that, or the gentlemen. They could be into either of them. It's about getting an extra benefit when they're flying through the air, because it stretches the fabric out a bit more, which acts like a little sail, and they can fly a bit further. Now, if Eddie the Eagle had done all this sort of stuff, he might have had half a chance of actually winning something. There you go. There's one to think, he's a bit clever. So, all this thing about it cheating in the Olympics hasn't even properly kicked off. It's only just started. We're early days in the Winter Olympics. There's already all this discussion about cheating. So, it's got me wondering, what did you get accused of cheating for? And were you cheating? I've never been cool enough to be accused of cheating. Whether I've been cheating, well, I'm never going to admit to anything in public. But if you'd like to admit to something, then do get in touch. Best way to do it is call, text, or WhatsApp. The number is 07367 85 85 47. That's 07367 85 85 47. Back to the days when they took the Ron Seal approach to naming songs. Inner City and Good Life on a Wee Natter, where our sports ball reporter Sandra's be in touch to say the British world champion has just landed her second jump in qualifying. I'm assuming that is from the Winter Olympics. I've just seen a message come in and I can't tell whether it's a sports ball report or just a description of what's happening in the high street where you live, Sandra. It says the second British girl has fallen again and is out. I'm assuming not knocked out cold, she's just out of the Winter Olympics. One of those Fleetwood Mac songs where I pretty much guarantee you were singing along to it. Go Your Own Way on a Wee Natter. I'm talking about going your own way. Have you heard that Australians have been redesigning some of their coins recently? Yeah, and apparently they've put the late, great Queen Elizabeth on the coins. And you're thinking, okay, that's already a bit of an odd choice. But, they're wanting to celebrate her long reign and all that she brought along with it. And the way the coin design has been described by critics includes the word Shrek. Personally, I think the image looks like she's going to see you outside in the car park afterwards. I mean, it is, some very deep-set eyes, a very angry-looking face, and if you need a photo or an image to compare it against, you remember that Tony Blair Christmas card where it looked like he was going to have a fight with you out in the car park after something went sideways in the pub? And he's got his missus going, hold back, leave it, it's not worth it. Yeah, Queen Elizabeth has that sort of face on the go as well. I'm not sure it's a sort of tribute they were going for, but there you go. I'm not Australian. Maybe that's what Australians view as paying tribute to somebody in a good way, is making it look like they're going to win a bar fight. I bet you can't remember what that song was originally called when it was released on the Elefunk album. Let's get it started in here on a wee natter. If I said the original title, I'd get into a lot of trouble. It uses words that are considered much ruder than even were back in 2004 when that song was originally released. And we'll move very quickly on to something else that's slightly offensive. But you remember that thing that happened, I forget how many years ago now, where it was a painting in a church that needed to be restored, and a kind volunteer went and did it, and they ended up making a bit of a mess of it. And yeah, you can picture that in your head right now. Well, I've just been reading about a church that's going through another restoration of a painting. It's in Italy, and they've been restoring a cherub, but this time the people doing it do have a genuinely high level of talent. It doesn't look like somebody's drawn a smiley face on it, or maybe drawn something that might refer to what the Elefunk and Black Eyed Peas were talking about earlier. Not going down that route. They've done an actual, genuine, halfway decent job. The problem is, when they've recreated the face of this cherub that's on this church wall, they've made it look like the Prime Minister of Italy in the process. And the Diocese of Rome is properly kicking off at this point, going, this is madness. This is absolute madness, this is. And you can imagine the Prime Minister straight out with a shaggy defence. But I bet if a super fan approached them and said, look, I'm doing a restoration of a church. I've got the opportunity to repaint this cherub's face. Do you want to make it look a bit like you? You know they'd say yes, don't you? It's not often that your messages send me into a little bit of a panic, but this one from PG31 Uncut saying, has anyone heard of Galentine's Day? I had no idea what it was until all these gift ideas popped up on your social media feed. And that got me panicking that, hang on a minute, Valentine's Day is on Saturday, and that's already something that I'm having to put a lot of effort into, work out what I'm going to be making food-wise, trying to organise gifts, all that sort of thing for my kind lady wife. And then you mentioned Galentine's Day. I'm like, oh, that's not another one. I don't have to do something else. If you're seeing that, you're worrying about Galentine's Day, you do not have to worry at all, because apparently it was a made-up thing for a TV show, Parks and Recreation. Although if they're selling gifts online, it means they've turned it into a real thing, and we probably ought not to panic. I'm not sure. This might just be self-preservation kicking in, but just because the Smiths suggest that you hang the DJ doesn't mean you actually have to do it and follow through. It's a wee natter where we were enjoying Mika's Happy Ending as our Mission Musical Freedom song. And Vicky sent a text message in saying, good song choice, ages since I've heard Mika. And then after that, Miley Cyrus and Flowers. And based on the message I've seen from Sandra Owens, somebody that might need some flowers fairly soon is Keir Starmer. Apparently he's going to give an emergency update on his position. They certainly have it in for him. That's what the message says. And if you're feeling a little bit out of the loop going, what's going on now? Well, apparently our Prime Minister's Chief of Staff has gone, no, I've had enough. I'm out. I've made a mess of this. It's time to go home. Bye. See you all later. A technique that was pioneered by many a politician before him, including, who was the guy that did the Brexit vote? I can see his face. I can't think of the name. Tory politician, you know who I'm on about. Yeah, call me Dave. That one. Yeah, David Cameron. Yeah, he was quite good at that. Made a mess and then just walked out the door. I think he was even whistling when he went. But anyway, days are numbered for Keir Starmer. That's what all the political opponents are saying. Reality is, well, I'm not a political expert, but honestly, I can't imagine he's going to be too willing to carry on when half his team are walking out on him.
The Super Shunky Sunday Quiz.
A wee natter with Jenny and Marc Steele.
But don't be surprised if you see the headlines and social media posts saying, no, we back him 100%. But we're also backing the stalking horse in the background as well. But anyway, this is... we'll move on very quickly to the quiz that is so cerebral it consists of just one question, and so high budget the prize consists of... if you get the answer right, or if you're a bit more like me. And this week we are borrowing our question from the 1990s of the Trivial Pursuit mini pack series, and it's got a sports ball theme to it as well, because we're talking about the Winter Olympics earlier. let's keep that going. And I'll ask you, what 1994 tournament played for the first time in the United States across 9 cities set a record with over 3.5 million people attending? Yeah, so what 1994 tournament played for the first time in the US across 9 cities set a record with over 3.5 million people attending? If you think you know, I want to get your very own. Or, and the best way to get in touch is to give me a call, text, or WhatsApp. The number 07367 85 85 47. That's 07367 85 85 47. And we're going from political operators to smooth operators with Shadi now on a wee natter. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday evening. Topic of operators, a moment ago we were talking about the fact that Keir Starmer's chief of whatever they call it is stepped down, has resigned, and we're talking about the world of politics. And I've just seen messages coming in saying politics is a dirty business and it's a house of cards. And it's kind of funny. I can see why people get involved in local politics. And it's not just because they're curtain twitchers. There's usually like this drive to do something for your local community. Either it's something you really want done or something you really don't want done. And that sort of drives you into that world. National politics, if you're going into it, and not just into it, you want to be front and centre, you know, one of the big dogs in it. Yeah, there's got to be a screw or two loose in there, hasn't there?
Sunday quiz.
A wee natter with Jenny and Marc Steele.
And talking about screws loose, it would help if I pressed the right buttons, wouldn't it? You'd have thought after a few years of practice I'd have it down by now. But anyway, I was asking you what 1994 tournament played for the first time in the United States across 9 cities set a record with over 3.5 million people attending. And we've had a couple of guesses coming in, including from Sandra Owens with the correct answer, and Anel76 with the correct answer. But if you think you know what the answer is, what was that 1994 tournament in the United States, and you want your very own, or maybe even, then you need to get in touch, because we don't just give them out for guessing to yourself. You need to share it with the class. The only gotcha is you need to get your guesses in by the end of this song from Bowling for Soup. It's Girl All the Bad Guys won. That's it, time's up.
The Super Shonky Sunday quiz.
A wee natter with Jenny and Marc Steele.
Where I was asking you what 1994 tournament played for the first time in the United States across 9 cities set a record with over 3.5 million people attending. And if I said that it's due to reappear in the United States fairly soon, I think that would have entirely given the game away. But you didn't need that clue for you, Vicky, who guessed it was football or soccer, as they call it over there. So yes, well done. That's the answer you had to give to get the ding-a-ling, was the Soccer or Football World Cup. Congratulations if you managed to get that one right. Commiseration if you didn't. However, there is something that you can celebrate that is just around the corner, and it is not a World Cup. Find out what it is after this one from Culture Club. It's a miracle on a wee natter. I don't know about you, but I'm going to remain innocent by assuming that X's and O's that El King was on about there are just hugs and kisses. I assume that's all it's all about. It's a wee natter where I promised you something good to look forward to. And as I read this headline again, I think I might have slightly misled you on that front, unfortunately. It says, no end in sight to Britain's wet weather as dozens of flood warnings are issued. It's got to the point where I'm signed up for the flood warnings in my local area, even though I'm on a bit of a hill. It's nice to know when the roads are going to be cut off or there's going to be trouble and all that sort of thing. My phone keeps dinging with flood alerts, and it's getting to the point where, like, you know, this is getting ridiculous. Maybe I need to switch them off, because we're getting so many flood alerts now. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting annoying. But, you know, on the upside, spring is round the corner, which, you know, it brings a bit more daylight, which is always a win. It's nice to see where you're going and not being out in the dark, going for a walk in the evenings, looking like a complete nutter, especially if you live where I do, where it's straight out into the countryside and people just go, why is he wandering in fields in the dark? And I assume that I've got a screw loose. I just like to go out walking. I enjoy going out walking in the dark. You can get away with it in the city. You can't get away with it in more countryside type places. So, you know, spring's around the corner. Daylight is coming. That's good to look forward to. But Weather-wise, rain, 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 and rain. Just got me wondering, can we skip the spring? I know spring brings nice things like lambs and pretty flowers and things like that, snowdrops, all that kind of stuff. Can we skip spring and go straight to our week of summer? And maybe try and stretch that week of summer out a bit more. You know, it's got to be one of the benefits of global warming, hasn't it? I don't want to shatter the illusion or break the fourth wall. Can you break the fourth wall in radio? Is there any walls in radio? I'll leave you to figure that one out. But it turns out I can make mistakes. I do have to hold my hand up and admit that, as AlphaCat 555 points out, snowdrops are winter flowering, Mark. I may have claimed they were spring flowering, and for that I do apologise, especially if you're starting to set your calendar based on the information I was giving you. I know it's a lot and you're probably upset with me, but, you know, it's on you for accepting what I'm telling you as gospel. And in other news, the winter sports stuff carries on with Alfie pointing out mixed pairs GB curling in the semi-finals. I guess that's good news. Britain tend to do surprisingly well in the curling, and I don't know if you've ever been up to Perth and visited the curling rink where they train for the Olympics, or they used to train for the Olympics, I don't know if they still do, train for the Olympics there. Got dragged there once or twice on a school trip, and two things to remember. One, it didn't feel all that brilliant. You're thinking, oh, this is where you train for the Olympics, and you get there and it's like, this is just a tin shed with some ice in it. And secondly, they never did return my coat that I left there accidentally. Not that I was trying to go back there. I was just a bit rubbish. It turns out when I was a kid, I was really bad for leaving my jacket everywhere. And also Sandra saying, apparently both British girls qualify for the big air finals tomorrow. Okay, so that's the air jumping, ski jumping thing, isn't it? Yeah. Good luck to them. And all I can say is I am glad it's not me that's doing the ski jumping. I'll be honest with you. If you're to choose out of the winter sports that were available, ski jumping would be top of the list to go, you know, I'll take a crack at that. A, because, you know, it involves heights, and B, it's got to hurt a lot if you don't land it correctly. You know, something like tobogganing, or maybe not the skeleton bob where you're going head first down on the tea tray. And that sounds like a bad idea. But if we're thinking about snow sports, it'd be worth a shot. Now, you know, if you were to choose a Winter Olympic sport to take up, yeah, I think I could do cross-country skiing. I wouldn't be particularly good at it, being I didn't get past the snowplow when I did try skiing eons ago and realised it's way too expensive, way too complicated, and I probably shouldn't listen to my friends. So if I were to choose a Winter Olympic sport, I think cross-country skiing would be the one to give a shot. Yeah, you have a think about which one you'd give a shot while we enjoy this one from Blink 182. It's I Miss You on a wee NASA. It's Blink 182 or Blink 182 as the people that didn't sound very with it in 2003 used to say. It's I Miss You on a wee natter, where we are talking about Olympic sports, or Winter Olympic sports, and Alfie points out all the curling stones for the Olympics are produced in Scotland. The granite comes from the island of Isle of Craig on the Ayrshire coast. We see it every day. Well, you see the entire mining operation sitting there with giant machines just ripping this island to bits so they can make a handful of curling stones. I assume it's not done to that level, but that's what I'm imagining in my head. PG Fairborn Cat saying, I'm not keen on snow or ice, and I'm scared of heights, so I reckon I'd try curling. Curling kind of feels like, and I'm not saying curling isn't, you know, a highly skilled sport and there's a lot going on, but it kind of feels like a version of bowls that just happens to be on ice. Yeah, it's just got that feeling about it. I know it's a very highly skilled sport, and there's a whole thing about, you know, they've got the little sweepers and all that going on, and it's very, very involved, but it just has that image in my head. Sandra saying, I like figure skating. Figure skating does look like good fun. The only problem is, if you're on the ice, if you fall over, it does hurt a bit, and also, if you want to get yourself a bit freaked out next time you go anywhere near a ice rink or anything like that, just remember how sharp the blades are on everyone's feet. Yeah, that doesn't seem like good fun. But I am having a look through the Winter Olympic sports that they've got available. There's alpine skiing. Okay, you know, maybe give that a shot. Biathlon, there's bobsleigh. Well, the Jamaicans can do it. We could do bobsleigh as well, couldn't we? Cross-country skiing, curling, figure skating, freestyle skiing, which makes it sound like, I'm sure it's far more complicated than this, but when they say freestyle skiing, in my head, I imagine breakdancing on ice. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Let me live in that reality. Ice hockey, luge, that's the one where you go down on the tea tray. That's feet first, because the skeleton's when you go head first on the tea tray, isn't it? Yeah. Nordic combined, short track speed skating, skeleton, yep, ski jumping, ski mountaineering, snowboard, and speed skating. It's looking through that list, it's a lot shorter than I thought it would be, if I'm honest with you. Of all the options you could go with for winter sports in the Winter Olympics, if you were going to give it a shot, yeah, I would have thought it'd be a few more than that. Maybe we need to come up, and here's your challenge for the next couple of songs. See if you can come up with a new, unique winter sport. You know, a bit like they do an exhibition sport in the Summer Olympics. An exhibition sport that would work for the Winter Olympics. Maybe it could be something like, I don't know, chess skating. I'm sure we can make that work as an idea, and maybe you can come up with better ideas than that. And while you're having a think about it, we'll stick a song on that you hear on every jukebox as you're getting towards the end of the night. And then after this, we'll call the Kaiser Chiefs in for what you do after the night out, going for a ruby. It's the Kaiser Chiefs on a wee natter, where we're talking about making our own very own exhibition Winter Olympic sport. Just had Vicky in touch saying you could try putting a shopping trolley across a snowy car park at a supermarket and call it a winter sport. Yeah, I love that idea. It's nice and simple, and it's almost like the curling but lower budget. Until you realise just how expensive trolleys are. They're like 3 figures a pop. It's ridiculous. Also in with suggestions include Sandra with volleyball with snowballs. It'd be a bit cold, but it would work. And also canoe downhill race. Okay, I can see where that one's going. Alfie saying, as kids in winter, me made a slide, as in run and see how far you could slide, like you're going down the street. And that was called Granny Squat It. Okay, yeah, I see where you're going for there. Just running up and then doing that slide and imagining that as a proper Olympic sport. And having the commentary and being deadly serious about it. That is wonderful. And PG31 Cat saying snow and ice obstacle course. Although if it involves climbing or monkey bars or anything like that, I'm out. But it would be wonderful to watch it. And talking about wonderful, unfortunately, this show is coming to an end. I know I'd love to stay with you for longer, but unfortunately, exposure limits and all that sort of stuff do have to say goodbye at 9 o'clock. But you do have the opportunity to catch up with this show on demand anytime you choose. It's available on Mixcloud, Twitch, and now YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcast. Just look for a wee natter. And if you're looking for this episode specifically, I've had to have a proper wee think about what title we're going to give this episode. And we've just got stuck on the Winter Olympics theme. So I've just been thinking Winter Olympics, Winter Olympics, Winter Olympics. And the only one person sticks in my head when I think Winter Olympics is Eddie the Eagle. So episode title has got to be Flies Like Eddie the Eagle. Yeah, you see what I've done there? Yeah. And on that note, I'll catch you same time, same place next time. But I'm going to leave you with Faith No More and We Care A Lot, which is something I think we claim we do at Wee Nasser. See you next time.